am live on Facebook. Hello, everyone. So let me get my tech together, and I think we're ready. Am I stuck? Okay. Hello, Instagram. Let me check my Twitter feed and make sure I'm live there. And yes, we're ready. Let me see, make sure my mic is working. And it seems to be working. So we are ready for Teaching Tip Tuesday. So let me go back to my Econ Live. Hello, everyone. So this is Teaching Tip Tuesday with yours truly, the Ignited Teacher. And if you are new to my Teaching Tip Tuesday, I am Michelle Williams. I go by the Ignited Teacher here on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And what I do is I help educators of high need students, meaning students with from high poverty situations. Also, special ed 504 ELL teachers to effectively manage their classrooms and to increase student achievement. And you probably hear my dog. He's whining in the background. Let me shut the door. So, all right. So let's go ahead and get started. If you can't hear me, please let me know because sometimes I cannot hear. I mean, sometimes my mic, I've gone a few times with my mic not working and I couldn't see the feed. And let me check right now to make sure that you can hear me. Okay, excellent. So if you can hear me, make sure. You can barely hear me. Let me turn it up. Can you hear me now? So let me turn it up. Yeah, Shamaya, you already know my advice. Because, yes, we deal with the same children and they were losing their minds today. So, let me turn this up. All right. So, tonight is about quieting a chatty classroom. And I've seen a lot of teachers asking about, their children, they can't get a word in edgewise, and the kids are talking over them. First of all, I recommend, and I'm going to start with steps because I'm methodical in my approach. So today, and it's so funny that I'll be talking about this topic tonight because guess what? My last period class was off the chain today with their mouths, just constantly talking. And not necessarily like a stream of talking, but more so like here and there, blurts here and there. And they really were just really bothering. I couldn't get through my lesson without I'm laughing because I'm visualizing them in my head. So I couldn't really get through my lesson. I got through it, but I had to really get ugly with them today. And normally that's not the case. I don't know if it's because we just came from the holiday or whatever the case may be. But anywho, they were just chatting up a storm. Then I had one beating on the desk and the other one with the pencils like they were in band. And I was like, what in the love and hip hop is going on? So, I sat back and, my first step to dealing with kids that are talking all the time is I don't talk when children are talking. So, I stepped back and I said, well, I'm going to wait on you. So they'll get quiet, get quiet. And then as I start with my lesson, here comes the blurts. Got one up front talking, and then, you have those ones in the back and they blurt out. And I was like, oh, am I not talking? So they quiet down again. So after going on this roller coaster, I really was looking at what was causing the talking because I just thought it was so interesting that I was talking about this topic tonight that I was having the same problem today with this one class. So when I stepped back and looked at when the talking was occurring, it wasn't really during my lessons. The blurting was happening, but that was with individual children. I'm going to tell you what I do with those individual kids. It wasn't the whole class, but I noticed the whole class got really chatty during transitions. So transitions in my classroom, like this class, they have minimum movement anyway. So I don't move. They don't move. I move. So if I need to see something, I get up and walk around. If we need to get some, I get one person to move because that's this type of classroom. So when they started talking, I noticed that it was during transition. One of the things I noticed, my transitions were moving quick enough. And tomorrow, I'm going to have their stuff ready so we can jump right into it. So I can have this one person pick up the paper, and as they're picking up the paper, I'm moving on. So it doesn't give them time to open their mouths. Oh, let me see. Hold on one second. Oh, no wonder it was on the wrong speakers. You should be able to hear me now. I don't know why. And, I'm not a MacBook fan, and I'm working on this Mac because the program that I use is specifically for MacBooks. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. So can you hear me now? So, one of the things that I noticed, my transitions were moving too slow. So, with that, the kids were, it gave them too much downtime. And I'm talking about like split second downtime. And in that split second, their mouths are moving. So tomorrow, I plan on having their stuff just on the desk. And normally I do. But today, for some reason, I don't know if I thought something was going to be different. And it wasn't. I don't know what was going on with me today. So what I did is I had to step back and look at when they were actually talking. So let me see. Let me turn this up. So they were actually talking during the transition. And that's one of the things that I tell educators when you're actually having a problem with the students, try to step back and look at when the talking is happening. Most teachers will say, oh, it's happening all the time and I can't get a word in edgewise. Well, for me, that's not necessarily the case. They're not always talking. It's certain times that the talking may get louder. There are certain times where the chattiness there's too much downtime. You have to decide and know your students. I know this particular class and I can take responsibility because I normally have when they come in class, their stuff is on the tables. They're on the tables. I do not actually let me see, because okay. So I don't necessarily have my students move their stuff, as like some classes I do. Like one of my classes, I will transition them to where, okay, we can pass out stuff, so I'm transitioning from maybe my STAR practice to my actual activity or my actual lesson. I can get there and pass the things out. Well, one of the problems with that is that certain class can have downtime. And I teach this in my classroom management course where with your routines and procedures, you have to know how your students are when they are basically transitioning. That's one of my issues with this class. And I noticed that today. So it was really an issue today. And I hear my dog barking, but I don't know what's going on. And that's one of the problems. So step one, step back and look at what's happening in your classroom. And I know it's hard because you're trying to teach and you got all these kids talking. Notice when they are talking. It's not going to be all the time. If it's all the time, you don't have a chatty classroom. You have a classroom management issue. So that's the problem. If it's all the time. If it's just certain times, just notice when it's happening. Now, the second part is find the children who are doing the talking. That's the first thing. Who's talking? And it can't be the whole class because all classes have ringleaders. They do. I know that because think about when we are in faculty meetings and my coworkers on here, they talk to me and I have to talk back. So, it's just like the children. Somebody's always starting the conversation. So you have to look around the room and you have to see who's the conversation starter. They are always there. I have a little boy. He sits in front of me. He's the conversation starter. So when a conversation happens, I immediately look over at him and do my eyes like this. And I ask him, what are you doing? Exactly like that. So he's the conversation starter. So I know it starts with him. And then he's like, no, that's not me. Yes, it is. I'm looking at you. Stop talking. So those individual students, I told my coworker today, they're getting back on the cell phone behavior cards because they keep talking. And the beating, I can't deal with that. I don't know what it is. And then when I told him to stop beating, he actually was beating on the desk. And I was like, okay. And they don't like the behavior cards because the behavior cards make them focus in on that one behavior. And it's the blurting out and all of those. That's their goal. So my student, he actually thinks, and I didn't correct him. He was like, I don't want the behavior card. He said, because if I don't do right, I'm going to end up in the behavior class. Well, I know that he's not going to end up in the behavior class because it takes a lot. And he's not even one of those. He's just busy. I don't know what it is. He always has to be moving. And he's not even cognizant of what he's doing. So that's how I hone in on those children. So the first step is to figure out when the talking is happening. And normally it's a routine issue like I told you today. Tomorrow, they're going to have their stuff on the desk. I'm going to have that one student pick up their work, and they're going to be moving, having something to do while we're transitioning. Get your book out, turn to this page, and by the time that student sits down, I can actually be in my lesson already, and it brings that chattiness to a close because they have something to focus on. And I noticed that today, and I was just like, they were driving me insane. And I guess it's because after the holiday, but it was just a lot of talking. So the second step is who's doing the talking. And it's not everybody. They're not all talking. Who are your conversation starters? Hone in on them. Think about your faculty meetings. Who starts the talking? Because we all have people that talk. Think about your conferences. Who starts the talking? There's always one table at the conference that's actually talking. So definitely hone in on that. And the third thing is to create a plan. If you don't have a plan, so you've nailed down who's talking, you've nailed down when it's happening, now you have to create a plan. I already know my issue because today I was a little lax. I must say I was. And my students were, they had a little extra downtime in between the transition because normally that class, I'm on top of them. When they transition, I stand up. It's something about sitting down, and I could be at the front of the class, but it's something about sitting down. They just, act like you're not even there, and they start talking. But the standing up, I don't know. I guess it's the proximity that makes a difference. But come up with a plan. Like I said, if you have a class where everybody's talking, that's a classroom management issue. That is not a chatty class issue. That is a classroom management issue. That means your routines and procedures are not sound because I can quiet my class and the volume will go back up when students are talking during the transition. So I know that it's just a little minor tweak that I need to make. If you don't have a plan, getting back to that, you need to talk to your coworkers, see what they're doing for those specific things that you are having issues with. If you don't know, if your kids are chatting during transition, you need to figure out what you need to do. For example, one of my classes was chatty this morning during transition. I think it was my second period class. And they were talking as we, got up. And I was like, I said, if you continue to talk, we're going to sit down and we're going to start over again. That's going to be 5 minutes of your lunch. So the talking immediately stopped. So that's how I rein them back in. Some people use class dojos. They give incentive points. I'm not going to lie. I've been slacking on the class dojo this year. And I need to do better. I think I realize that I do definitely need to bring it back because it does work and the kids do pay attention. So those are my 3 key points. The first one, let me recap. The first one is when are they talking? When is the talking happening? The second one is who's doing the talking? Find out who your conversation starters are, where the conversation is happening, and then create a plan. How are you going to stop the kids that are talking? Like I told you, I have the cell phone cards, and I'm going to print them out and laminate it for the 2 talkers that I have. And their goal is going to be to raise their hand before they talk, if they want to speak. And that's one of the things that I do to specifically target those children. And that's one of my plans my plan for tomorrow also to have tighter transitions and really be on top of the kids once I know that I'm going to transition from one activity to another. I know that I can't be passive with that class. I have to be up. And it's at the end of the day, I'm not going to lie. 2 o'clock, most of the time, I'm tapped out. I really am. The closer it gets to 1:45, I'm like dying because it has been, I teach all morning and my specials, ancillary, enrichment is not until 1:45 and it's getting close to that 2 o'clock mark. And I do get lax with that class, but I know that I can't. So, I want to tell you some good things that are happening. If you like my content, I have some classroom management blog posts. You can go to the ignitedteacher.com and you can find my blog post there. I'm going to put that in the chat. The ignitedteacher.com, and you can go to the blog link and it's going to take you to my blog. That's one thing. Also, every Thursday I have a new blog post that comes out every Thursday. This Thursday I'll be talking about my implementation of project-based learning. If you like the content, please follow my blog so you can be the first to get the blog posts. I send them out on my email list, and I try not to send out a lot of emails. I don't like a lot of emails, but the people that I am on their email list, I do like to get their email, and then I get upset when they go to like the promotion emails and I'm looking for it. Also, that's what I'm doing. So, if you like my content, I have Teaching Tip Tuesday every Tuesday night at 8:30, and we talk about classroom management, we talk about technology implementation, and I also talk about project-based learning. For me, my platform is about equitable pedagogy, and if you don't know what that is, equitable pedagogy is definitely, hey Tanya, equitable pedagogy is providing instructional strategies that meet the needs of diverse learners and students who come from different populations or special population. That can be your ELLs, that can be your special education students, 504 students, and that's how I use my platform. So if you want to be a part of my tribe, definitely subscribe to my blog. And it's difficult sometimes to implement these things that we see in affluent areas, but the kids need it, and I think you will enjoy this blog post that I have coming out. So, not going to hold you too long. That's it. If you like this content, like or share it with a colleague, and let me know how those three tips work with you. Find out where the chatting is happening and when it's happening. Find out who's starting those conversations. You have to step back. Get out of your emotions. As some people say, get out of your feelings. I don't say that. So you have to step back, stop the emotion, and look and see what is actually happening so you can solve your own problem. So I will see you all next week on Teaching Tip Tuesday at the same time, 8:30 Central Standard Time. Bye-bye.